Nikki Plafkin.
We're going to the next slide. All right, just a reminder that at EHS, we have 10 counselors here, and 2 of which are specifically for 9th graders. So if you're a rising 10th grader, you probably had or do have Miss Goldberg or Miss Kiefer. And then once they reach their 10th grade, 10th, 11th, 12th, they will be with one of us. We will be their counselor for the next 3 years. And then we split students up based on their last name. We also want to mention our Edina Virtual Pathway counselor, who is Andrea Baldwin, and then also our support staff, Nancy Knudsen, Allison Duchateau, and Molly Thuma, who makes our team run really well. So let's go. Let's talk about registration. So today we launch our first mini-series on registration to help make the process more manageable for students and families. Throughout the week, except with the exception of Wednesday, we are throwing out little videos that are being played in second hour, which includes overview of registration, credit requirements, as well as like how to register, and our external programs such as PSEO, which is our post-secondary opportunities, as well as HTC, Hennepin Technical College, and our Edina Virtual Pathway. Also to note that on Friday, we will be available for walk-ins for students, and then February 7th, 12th, and the 14th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., as well as 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., and we will also be available during students' lunch hours on February 10th and 11th. Just a reminder for everyone that registration closes on February 14th at 4 p.m. And all the information that you're getting today will be on our Schoology page, a grade level connections page that your students has access to. All right, when we're talking about registration, we want to make sure that students are when they're registering, should be intentional and purposeful of selecting the appropriate level placement and electives for next year. Meaning, like when they're looking for which math class to take next year, going to their teacher and asking for guidance, recommendation that they're recommending them for next year, as well as like what electives that may align with their high school or post-secondary plans. Just being very intentional what you're picking for next year. And just a reminder that we want students to pick 7 classes each semester, which is a full course load. So for the full year, it will equate to 14 classes. 6 classes is recommended with a student prep, but if you or your student feel that they don't need a student prep, they can definitely take 6 full credit-bearing classes. And then this whole process is a school effort. So we just want to make sure and emphasize for you and your student to use the resources that you have around you, whether it be like if you're wondering if your kid should take an AP class or stay on the standard level class, ask your teacher, ask your English teacher what they recommend or what they're seeing and their thoughts on it. Or if you're wondering what math level to go to next, ask your math teacher and see what they recommend. So using your resources as well as your level connections page with all the videos that we've created to help make this more easier. Okay, so the next thing is graduation requirements. So for our rising 11th and 12th graders, you only need 43 credits to graduate. But one thing to note is that our class of 2028, which is our rising 10th grader, you will need 44 credits to graduate, which includes personal finance. So personal finance is now going to be a requirement for our class of 2028 and beyond. All right, now we're talking about English classes. So for 10th graders, you get to pick between survey or roundtable. And on our next slide, there's a diagram that shows you the difference between the two. And if you're wondering, like, oh, should I do survey or should I do roundtable? This is a good opportunity to ask your English teacher which one is a good fit for you. Roundtable is more independent work, lots of books. You have to be willing to read outside of school during your prep time. You'll be writing a lot versus survey. You're not reading as many books. It's definitely teacher guided. But still, if you're still wondering which one to take, please connect with your teacher so they can help guide you. And roundtable is accelerated. All right, for English languages for 11th and 12th grade. So we are expanding our English courses options for 11th and 12th grade. As you can see on the slide, 11th graders can choose between AP English Language and Composition, which is a full year, a year-long course, or any 2 semester-long courses from the list provided. By 12th grade, one thing to know, by 12th grade, students must complete 1 fiction and 1 nonfiction English course before graduation. So they have 2 years to complete that. Seniors, courses that is only for seniors explicitly is Intro to Lit, CIS, and AP Literature and Comp, which are year-long sequence. And for seniors only, again, is University Writing, CIS. If you want to know more about what each course is offering, what English course is offering, each course description is in the catalog, which indicates whether it fulfills the fiction or nonfiction requirement. And there's little videos that was created by the teacher who will be teaching each of those English courses as well. All right, social studies. Social studies is still the same. For our rising sophomores, they get to choose from world history to AP world history or AP Euro history. And then our 11th graders, they can pick from US history, AP US history, or AP African American studies. And then our seniors can pick from AP Econ, which is a full year course, or standard Econ, which is 1 semester. Again, if you're deciding whether or not to take AP versus not taking AP, that would be a great conversation with your teacher to see what is an appropriate class for you to be in next year. Math. So here's our math sequence. So there's 2 things to note is that we're offering next year 2 new courses, which is 1 semester long. So for the fall semester, we're offering statistics for 1 semester. And then second semester in the spring, we're offering data science. But other than those 2, the math sequence is the same. So if you're taking geometry as 9th grade right now, you'll go in Algebra 2. There's a flow chart here that you can follow, but also connecting with your math teacher to determine what is the next level placement for you.
Also keep in mind for math, in order to graduate, we do require 6 math courses to be taken here at the high school level. And then if you're thinking about a 4-year institution post-secondary, they want to see 4 years of a math. Oh, science. We're a quick swap. Excuse us. All right, so for science, at the high school level, we do require 6 years of science, or 6 semesters of science, excuse me. So typically 9th graders will be in physical earth science, followed by chemistry or enriched chem. And then 11th grade will be biology or enriched biology. And then senior year, they have the option to take various electives, whether it's AP Bio, AP Chem, AP Physics, Forensics. But for graduation purposes, we do require just 3 years of science, so 6 credits. But again, 4-year institutions do like to see full 4 years. And then similar to what Ms. Petzman was saying, if you're looking at whether to take enriched bio or regular bio, for example, make sure just to talk to your science teacher. They can lead you to the appropriate path of what that would look like. So additional required courses, we do require 1 semester or 1 credit of health, personal wellness, After you take a personal wellness credit, students can then take their second Phy Ed course. We require 2 credits for fine arts. And then again, we're mentioning for the class of 2028, personal finance is going to be a requirement. Starting the class of 2028, excuse me. So some electives, we just mentioned the 2 credits for fine arts are required. So some fine art examples could be art, band, orchestra, choir. There could be theater, visual arts, or even civil engineering and architecture. World languages is also an elective. We don't require world language in order to graduate from Edina High School. But again, a lot of 4-year institutions do want to see a minimum of 2 years. So at the high school, we do offer American Sign Language, Chinese, French, Latin, and Spanish. We also have a variety of business courses, including DECA, marketing, and personal finance. We have a lot of STEM choices, whether it's computer science, aerospace engineering, civil engineering and technology. And then we also have family consumer science. So international foods, advanced foods. We have education, child psychology, fashion design, interior design, and a bunch more. That's all listed again on that course catalog. So looking again at the general 4-year college preparatory, the minimum requirements. So we do require the 4 years of English, and so do a lot of the 4-year schools. 4 years of math. So again, we require the 6 credits here at the high school to graduate, but the 4-year institutions want to see the 4 years. Science for 4 years, social, and world language, a minimum of 2 years. So again, even though we might not require them to graduate, this is what a lot of the 4-year institutions are looking at. So make sure that as you're going throughout high school, whether you want to talk to your school counselor or your family to determine what your post-secondary paths are so that we can get you set up to the best path for you. And our external programs, I know Ms. Petsimone kind of talked about this, that we'll be going through this week. We have the how-to videos of opportunities to know, which include our external programs. So we have several partnerships that allow students to explore innovative and non-traditional education opportunities outside of the high school. So this is Edina Virtual Pathways, which is our online school here at the high school. We have our partnership with District 287 called Northern Star Online. We have post-secondary enrollment options, also known as PSEO opportunities. We have career pathways at Hennepin Tech. So if you're interested in auto body, auto mechanics, culinary arts, nursing is a really big one too, EMT. We also have Genesis Works and work-based learning. So each of the above programs require additional applications and registration that all can be found on the course catalog that is linked on this screen as well. Our online classes. So online courses are offered in a variety of subjects for the class or for 2025 and 2026 school year. They will run dependent of enrollment numbers. So please encourage your students to be very purposeful again and mindful when registering. You want to register for the online course if that's the path you want to take for next year. If you are interested, again, you cannot enroll in more than 3 classes per semester. If you go past that the three online courses, that is then considered full-time online. And that's something that we could always talk about too with your counselor. But if you do not register for an online course at the time of registration, then you may get put into the in-person one. So our resources, step 1 would really be going to your 2025-2026 course registration on Schoology. The counseling team has done a really great job putting together a step-by-step how-to one-stop shop. That's the word I was trying to find. A one-stop shop. Thank you, Dylan, for posting that. Of everything that students and families would need to know, again, including the calendar that we talked about, the videos that are being posted and advisory throughout this week, whether it's the requirements, the resources, all of the opportunities, all of the tools are found here. And so even after this, even during registration week, if your student doesn't remember what we all discussed, that's okay. This is all found here on the Schoology site. Thank you for scrolling through all of that, Dylan. So again, everything you need to know is in that folder. And then our course catalog has been recently updated. And again, that is beautifully done and has so many different options for you. On the left, as he's scrolling down, you're going to see all of our main core subjects. Each one, if you click on it, will then bring you to more options like English, which is a great one because there's so many different opportunities there. So it lists all of them, goes through the charts of what you need to see, of how it breaks down. And then, and there's these are the descriptions for each course. So here you're going to see the name, if there's a prerequisite, if it's a full year course, what it meets requirement of,
Is it fiction or not?
Whether it's fiction or nonfiction in terms of English. And then oftentimes on other subjects, there's going to be videos from teachers to explain what the course is about. For English, it's not, just because, again, they're still adding a bunch of new ones. So he clicked on business, for example, and in red, you can see a preview video, and this is based off of the teacher. And so you get to hear from the teacher what the course is about, which is really neat. Also on the course catalog, you're going to find the external partnership applications, as well as the EVP courses that we offer, and a variety of other things as well. So if you need help, counselors are available. We start doing walk-ins on the 7th. So we'll have walk-ins the 7th, 12th, 13th, and 14th, all from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and again at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So with walk-ins, there's no appointment necessary. Students just can come on in, and we'll try to meet with each one of our own. And then counselors are also available February 10th and 11th during all 3 lunches. So the final check. So while students are registering, we do really want them to focus again on making sure that they have 7 classes first semester, 7 classes second semester, as well as their 4 alternates. So just in case if something doesn't run or if something conflicts, then we can pull one of those courses in when we're doing it for next year. We also want to make sure that they're registering for semester-long courses. So for example, if you're doing English 10 Roundtable, you want to make sure that you're selecting semester 1 and 2. So making sure that it's the full year length, not just the 1 semester. When you do choose to close out of campus, it will automatically be saved, so don't worry about it getting lost. And lunch and advisory will count towards the 20 units, but do not count toward the 7 class required in each semester. So again, you'll have 7 and 7 for each semester, your 4 alternates, and then just making sure that you're registering for whether it's a 1 semester course or a full year course. And then reminder again, I know this is the 3rd time you've seen this, but registration window does close on February 14th at 4 p.m. And just to make this registration process a little bit more manageable, Mr. Hackbarth, I know, has made videos. And so although we already explained it, you're going to see different videos throughout the week. So whether it's today's kickoff with registration resources, our credit requirements, and on Thursday, you'll see how to register step by step. And then on Friday, again, there will be the opportunities to know. So those external programs like the PSEOs, the HTC, and then everything, again, is going to be on that Schoology Connections page too. So what questions do you have?
Hi, everyone. My name's Dylan Hackbarth. I've been kind of handling some of the clicking and some of the questions in the chat. There have been some excellent questions coming up tonight. And so I've been kind of covering some in the chat, but we'll throw some up to the group because between Susan, Nikki, and I, I'm confident we can answer them with some detail for you. So I'm actually going to start at kind of the top of the questions. I think I'm there. Sorry. Tonight's been the story of technical difficulties, but
I see some of these. Yes, the sound was on. I'm so sorry about that.
Can you take personal wellness one summer and health the next summer? Through Edina's programming, students can take one course in one summer and the following summer. There was a follow-up question to this, which was, can I take both in the same summer? Through Edina Public Schools summer offerings, students cannot take both in the same summer. Nikki, you're next with this one.
Okay.
Meredith asks, is personal finance an option for juniors and seniors this coming year?
You can certainly take personal finance. That is definitely an elective course. What we were saying about beginning with the class of 2028 is that's going to then be a graduation requirement. So as a rising junior, senior, definitely can take it. That's going to be more of the elective. Again, it's just requirement beginning 2028.
Wonderful. Great job, Ms. Plafkin.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So Susan, we're sending this one over to you. This is like fun. It's like a game show. So Kay asks, does a year of language in 8th grade, not French immersion, so like a kid who's maybe started Spanish and done that for 7th and 8th grade, does that count towards the 2-year requirement for college?
So I'm from my understanding that if they're starting, for example, Spanish 2 here as a 9th grade year, even though it's 1 year here at the high school, colleges will see it as 2 years. So technically, they will meet that 2 years minimum requirement. However, we still encourage our students to continue on with a world language throughout their years in high school because colleges still would like to see that.
Yep. Wonderful.
Good job.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to I'll take this next one, y'all. So Desiree asks, are you able to take both English, like the college and the schools classes? Are you able to take both? Seems like no, since you need to take AP Lit composition in the same year as Intro to Lit. That Desiree, your I think I maybe read that question when I answered it in the chat wrong. But I think your intuition is correct. And I would just encourage everyone to read closely the course catalog because there are some kind of tricky things like that in there. But you are correct. A student couldn't take both CIS classes because one of the CIS classes does require that second semester enrollment in the AP. Okay, ooh, here's a fun one. Nikki, we'll go to you with this one. Michelle asks, is it possible to take Algebra 2 in summer online and take pre-calculus in 10th grade the following year?
Sounds miserable, but yes, you could. It depends, I guess. From what some of the math teachers had told me is if you do take Algebra 2, we would recommend you taking it through Edina Virtual Pathways just because it's our curriculum taught by some of our teachers. As opposed to, I have heard some students who take it through Northern Star or NSO, for example, who, although it's our partnering district, their curriculum doesn't necessarily align with what we have. And so oftentimes when students come back to in-person math at the high school here, there are a little bit of gaps. And so it's a yes and answer because yes, you could take it online. But again, I would encourage it through EVP. And then if you're going to take pre-calc here, I think you'll just be set up for more success that way.
And then just to add on that too, if you're planning to take math over the summer to accelerate to take a higher math in a different grade, it is up to the family for payment. Like the school does not pay for that. So if your family, it's just the family has to pay for that the courses on the summer.
Mm-hmm. And because everything has details in triplicate around here, a detail to know is for a student who is seeking acceleration in the summer, and Nikki, I apologize if you said this, we typically ask the student to not sign up for the class that they intend to be in after acceleration, sign up for the next in the sequence first, and upon receipt of those credits at the end of the summer, we will adjust. We'll work with you to adjust that. Okay, this one's kind of fun. Is summer health and wellness still an option? You maybe have heard us. Yes, it is still an option. I'm just going to drop a link in the chat here. This goes right to our Edina High School registration website, where you can find the links that have details, dates, and all of the sign-up information for our offered summer health and summer personal wellness. Here's one for you, Susan. To confirm, 1 credit is 1 semester. Typically, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's industry speak here.
Sorry about that.
We go both directions. We'll say 1 semester, 1 credit, kind of interchangeably.
Yep. That's a good question.
So for you, Nikki, what if an incoming senior is registered for an internship through Genesis Works, but we don't know if we are accepted yet? How do you register for senior year, and how many classes should we register for?
You want to take this on?
Go for it. She used to work at the Genesis program.
So I will take this on. So I would register as if the student was going to be here full time. So just register as, in same intentional courses. And then once we know that the student is accepted for an internship the following year, we will work with the student to set up their schedule as, like, for example, if they're trying to leave at 12 p.m., we will have their graduation requirements at the beginning of the school time, and then they get to leave to go to work. So we will work one-on-one with them to figure out a schedule that works for them. But we register as if they were going to be here full-time without Genesis Works.
Yeah. And I think that's like a good moment for us to maybe just mention something like PSEO is kind of similar.
Yep.
We are getting slammed with questions about PSEO, which is awesome. PSEO stands for Post-Secondary Enrollment Options. It's a state program where students can actually enroll in college courses on a college campus taught by college professors while still enrolled in high school. Typically, we're seeing 11th and 12th graders do that. We have an information session set up for students during our flex period on February 13th, next Thursday. So if you have a student who's interested in PSEO, taking those college courses on a college campus, we encourage them to come to sign up for our flex session, which they can find in the flex scheduler. Again, it's called PSEO. But for those students, that applications process can take a long time, like into the late spring. So if you have a student who's thinking about doing PSEO, our advice to them, or I shouldn't say mandate, but our dream for them is to still sign up for 7 courses each semester at Edina High School next year, because upon admission and course selection for their PSEO courses, we will work with them to take them out of Edina High School classes. We're a little bit protective in that it's going to be easier to signing up for all the classes that you think you want at Edina High School now is a smart idea, because it's always going to be easier for us to take them out of your schedule than to put them in once the schedule is run. Okay, so we'll just grab a few more questions here. This one's coming to whoever wants it. Tom asks, is it possible to take a PE course before completing personal wellness?
Most of our PE requirements do have the prerequisite of taking personal wellness first. So if you're taking it here at the high school, personal wellness would come first, and then you could take basketball theory or unified PE or girls PE. But that's generally how that one works.
Good. Okay, here's a question. I'm going to let one of you kind of talk about this a little bit, because I'm going to find a link to throw in the chat. If you took PSEO classes as well as EHS classes, what mix would be required to be considered full-time?
It kind of depends on how many credits the student enrolled for PSEO. So the breakdown usually is, let's say college writing, taking it from Normandale, for example, college writing there is worth 4 credits. So it'd be worth 2 credits here. So we just break it in half. So that's 2 periods. And then if they were to take, I don't know, statistics, I think that's 3 credits. So it's 1.5 here. So it kind of just depends on how many credits that they're taking there versus what it would equate to here. So full-time then would typically be what, 3 classes? Am I doing the math right there, Dylan?
I think so. I think a simpler way is by state statute, a 4-credit course taught on a college campus has to equal the equivalent of a full year course taught at Edina High School. Yep. So a 4-credit English class taught at Normandale, a really common one students take will be college writing. In one semester of that course at Normandale through PSEO, they satisfy their full year English requirement. Now, we will then qualify that course as the equivalent of 2 credited courses during that semester. So at the same time, we have a credit minimum for seniors of 5 credits. So as long as a student is taking really the equivalent of 5 Edina High School credits, we typically will say that they're full-time. Though, again, given the value of PSEO, we might encourage that student to maybe take an additional course because, to be honest with you, the credits are paid for, the books are paid for. It's an awesome opportunity if that student is making that plan.
And then also keep in mind too, I think part of the question, I already lost it, is if they were able, you said what mix would be required? Oh, okay, never mind. I misread that.
I think for any parents out there who are listening, parents or students who are out there listening and thinking about PSEO, the intent to do PSEO and actually being scheduled and starting PSEO, it's about a 6 to 7 month process, just because there's orientation and there's many we're just watching the passage of time. But one thing that we want you to know is that counselors typically come back earlier than teachers at the start of the new school year. And this last year, we offered 2 half days where students who are doing PSEO could come in and consult with their counselor to rectify their schedules. And I would anticipate that we would do that again in the future. so that those students in early August have the opportunity to make their schedules balanced with their new PSEO courses, because many students might not be able to actually register for their courses until the summer. There is a question here from Paul. You shared an example of math acceleration. Is it possible to take summer acceleration for science too? I'll just take that. The Edina Public Schools, I think through Edina Virtual Pathways, is offering chemistry in the summer, if I recall.
Yes.
And students can do acceleration through other online providers in the state, as long as they're a Minnesota Department of Education approved online course provider. So one really common place where we will see students accelerate through certain coursework, or frankly just take things for passion, is through Northern Star Online. That is I would say our most common online partner that we see.
And with that one, we've called NSO or Northern Star Online our partner school. So yes, you can definitely take courses through other Minnesota online providers, but also know that NSO is the only one that will factor into your student's GPA, just because that is our partnering district. So just keep that in mind too.
Okay. We've got a question from Tracy. Can a senior take AP Calc AB and data science as an elective?
Because it looks like on the course catalog you need to have, these are new to us. This is why we're kind of like, ooh.
Yeah, new classes. And to be honest with y'all, this is one of our first times talking about some of this stuff because we're just at the front end of registration. But the course catalog kind of shows that data science and introduction to statistics are paired together. Mm-hmm. So I believe that student can take calculus AB and data science, but I think they would have the added requirement of that introduction to science. So 2 math classes per semester. And that is a perfect lead into another question, which someone is asking about their child who might be interested in 2-year-long science courses in her junior year. Without looking at your child's specific kind of array of course options that they're considering, I will start by saying, yes, it's possible. Like, it is within the realm of possibility for a student. But one thing that we would ask students to think about is that there's one fact that's true for all of us. And it's that as individuals, we only have 24 hours in a day. So we just want to encourage students to really be thinking about how they're feeling in that time that is unencumbered by school, right? And consider everything that they have on their plate outside of the school day to ensure that they are giving themselves the best shot at balancing and having a really healthy and just a strong junior year. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Let's see. I think we've got a question here that I think would be really great to answer. Can you please clarify the fiction, nonfiction requirement for rising 10th and rising 12th grade students? Is a requirement for the class of 2026?
So it's not a requirement for class of 2026, because this is just it's new this next year. So it's only a requirement for rising 10th and 11th, 12th grade beyond. So class of 2026, you don't have to worry about the nonfiction fiction piece. It's the same thing that it has always been.
You were interested in.
Yeah. For rising 12th, 10th graders, you can worry about only English roundtable and English survey. It's your 11th and 12th grade where you have to think about the nonfiction and fiction. So it starts class of 2027. So if you're a rising junior, then you have to think about all the English offerings and which English offering is nonfiction and fiction. And then when you go to the course catalog, it tells you a little table that shows you which courses is nonfiction and which courses are fiction. But you have to take one nonfiction and one fiction in the span of 2 years. So you have 11th and 12th grade to take at least one nonfiction and one fiction. This is also new to us this year, so we're still trying to figure out the best way to explain it to our students and families. But if you're still confused, I recommend talking to your teachers about it because they're going to be the best person to answer some of that nonfiction, fiction questions.
Yeah, and then we've got one last question here. I want to just say there was a question about PSEO. Do we offer a parent session? I wanted to just let everyone who's watching know that we try to put as many rich resources on our YouTube page as possible. And so I just shared a link to a PSEO sort of like down and dirty like info video that I had made that would give you the details that I think you'd be curious about. In addition, on our Edina High School website, we have lots of resources, including our PDF PSEO guide that we provide to students in our office all the time, but it will be available for students at our flex session next week. So do please feel free to check that out. Last question to close us out. Tracy asks, can math classes be taken as electives, i.e. a student is an incoming senior taking one math course like AP Calc. Can they also take Intro to Data Science? Oh, we kind of did that one.
Oh, we did that one.
Tracy, yes, they can. A student can take two science classes in a year, or two math classes in a year. Again, we're always going to be suggesting balance. Our students' health and wellness is, of course, a high priority, as well as their academic success. But we want our students to be able to manage and balance out their lives so that they are enjoying every day that they're here with us at Edina High School. And with that, I think we're going to close up our question and answer time. I wanted to really thank you all for your time here tonight, and just remind you that this presentation will live on here in this YouTube and I will keep the links live in the chat, and also encourage you to check out all of our resources on the course registration website, which I've shared the link to, as well as your students have access to all of this through their grade level Schoology pages. And so we hope that everyone can get their questions answered that way. And do please remember that counselors are available for student walk-ins throughout the next 2 weeks here. Great. Susan and Nikki, anything else that we should say as we close out? Any parting thoughts?
No, but thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it. And again, just work with us, work with your students to help them prepare for their best year for next year.
All right. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.